There is truly nothing more challenging than waking up every morning under the weight of my massive ego. Having a superior intellect is certainly a blessing and a privilege, but it's just so isolating. I wish people understood how difficult it is to be so important and how lonely you feel when you're better than everyone else. Welcome back to the channel, where today I'll be discussing the most common neurosurgeon stereotypes and hopefully shedding a little light on why these might contain a grain of truth, but are mostly just a pile of hot garbage. So if you'd like to keep believing that we're angry megalomaniacs, click away. Otherwise, let's go through the worst of the worst and debunk the notion that we love ourselves more than anyone else, that we have raging God complexes, and that we're more concerned about money than our children's birthdays. Ready? Let's dive in. There were 6 years of my life when I slept 4 to 6 hours a night max. And my eating schedule was erratic, to say the least. Do you think you'd be a happy camper if that was you? Yeah, I didn't think so. So pardon me and other neurosurgeons if we're known to be a little gruff sometimes. Okay, mean. Fine. Assholes.
And I should know.
Yeah, we have some brutal stretches where self-care is difficult. And maybe that doesn't leave us in the best moods. But I'd still say more often than not, the angry neurosurgeon who acts like a is the exception and not the rule. So while we may not always be Mr. or Mrs. Sunshine, I'd say most neurosurgeons take pride in our work and recognize how dependent we are on teams of people to get our jobs done. You need to get along with people to do your job effectively. And with the way modern medicine is going, it doesn't take much to end up in front of hospital leadership, or your program director if you're still a resident, for misbehavior or misadventures. The days of cursing people out and throwing scalpels just don't apply anymore. Ever heard the phrase, "it's not brain surgery"? Yeah, so have I, give or take a million times or so. You might think it's really cool to have your work considered so complicated and important that it spawns a popular phrase and trope, but it actually drives me crazy. Of course, it would be easy to assume that we're all arrogant narcissists. I love that what I do for a living is important. There's no denying that neurosurgeons have the ability to change people's lives for the better, to give people hope and confidence when they're sick and debilitated. But having been in the profession for 13 years, I can tell you that the overwhelming majority of neurosurgeons recognize that the work they do is way more important than who is doing it. Our job satisfaction comes from carrying out safe and effective surgeries, not inflating our egos over how great we are every time a patient does well. Because a critically important thing to remember about neurosurgery is that even when an operation goes well, that doesn't guarantee that our patients are fixed or cured. And every neurosurgeon inherently understands the limitations of modern medicine and operative techniques. We can only do so much to reverse or slow the tide of neurological disease, and that is a big part of what makes the field psychologically difficult and taxing. We are humbled on a near daily basis by what we face. Our confidence and egos are based on experience, both good and bad. And maybe some of it is a bit irrational, given the terrible diseases we face, but it has to be. We need to project the confidence that we want our patients to have, to give them reasonable hope that brighter days are waiting ahead, and that the help we offer is based on sound science and superlative clinical care. So I can promise you that we don't have God complexes. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth. It's certainly nice to have universal respect from everyone in the hospital for our work ethic. The training is long and demanding. 4 years in medical school, 7 years in residency, often a year of fellowship for subspecialization. So there's a lot of truth to the idea that we spend most of our lives in the hospital. But you could honestly say that of almost any high achiever or demanding profession. Unless you're financially independent or can get by doing part-time work, you're going to spend most of your hours at work. Neurosurgery training is rigorous and demanding, but once you become an attending and develop your own practice, you might be surprised how much flexibility there can be in your career. Sure, if you want to do 400 cases a year, run a research lab, and be president of every major society, you're probably going to be more married to your job than anything else in your life. But most neurosurgeons don't live that way. It's all about what your priorities are. If you tweak your call schedule, how many surgeries you perform, and what type of job you take, whether academic, hospital employed, or private, you have serious ownership over how much you work. So the next time you encounter a neurosurgeon, don't be afraid to introduce yourself. Just bring a snack, a pillow, a mirror, and a heap of nice compliments. Just don't expect us to remember your name. We've obviously got more important things to do. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next video.